Alright, what is going on, guys? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today, we're going to be learning how to work with lists, and we have a bunch of methods that we will look at. So, in this lesson, we're going to learn how to add and remove elements from a list using a specific index. We're going to create lists with continuous values. We're going to get the length of a list. We're going to select portions of a list called slicing. We're going to count the number of times that an element appears in a list, and then we're also going to sort a list of items. Now, in these exercises, we're going to be using built-in functions. So uh, we'll be doing that. So here's a bunch of list methods that we will be using. The count. It basically is a list method to count the number of occurrences of an element in a list. Insert, basically a method to insert an element into a specific index of a list. Pop, to remove an element at a specific index or from the end of the list. Range, a built-in Python function to create a sequence of integers. Len, which is a built-in function that helps to get the length of a list. The sort/sorted, a method and a built-in function to sort a list. Now let's go ahead and start off with the insert. Now adding by index. So the Python list method called insert allows us to add an element into a specific index in a list. The insert method takes two inputs: the index you want to insert it to and the element that you want to insert at the specific index. So the .insert method will handle shifting over elements and can be used with the negative indices. So to see it in action, let's imagine that we have a list representing a line at a store. So we have a store line. So imagine you're at Walmart and you have a store line with Carla, Maxim, Mortem, and Isabella. Now Maxim saved a spot for his friend Victor, or sorry, Vicar. I don't know why it's not Victor, but it's Vicar. And we need to adjust the list to add him into the line right behind Maxim. Now, for this example, we can assume that Carla is the front of the line and the rest of the elements are behind her. So here is how we would essentially insert the vicar into the list. So here's the list, right? So here's Carla, and then here's Maxim, and we want vicar to be right here, right? So we just do the index here, so 0, 1, 2, and the name that you want to insert, which is vicar. You print it out, it's going to be Carla, Maxim, Vicar, Martin, and Isabella. So some important things to note is the order and the number of outputs is important. The .insert method expects two inputs. The first one is a numerical index, followed by any value as the second input. Now when we insert an element into a list, all elements from the specified index and up to the last index are shifted one index to the right. This does not apply for inserting an element at the very end of the list, as it will simply add an additional index. So basically what it's saying is now, like, Martin used to be, like, at the start, he used to be 2, right? It would be 0, 1, 2. Martin used to be 2. Now it would be 0, 1, 2, 3. So he gets shifted 1, which makes sense, right? Like if you have say 4 people and you add one more, of course these people are going to get shifted, right? So kind of makes sense there. And then let's go ahead and work with this a little here. So we are helping out a popular grocery store called Geo's Produce. Every week the store has to choose the order in which it displays some of its popular items on sale. Now in the front window to attract customers. Jiho, the store's owner, likes to store the elements for the display in a list. So check out the current display list in our code editor, hit run. All right, so mango, filet, mignon, mignon, and then chocolate milk. So I don't know what this filet mignon is. Let me know if you know what that is. All right, Jiho found out some great news. Pineapple is back in stock. Jiho would like to put pineapple in the front of the list so that it's the first item the customers see in the display window. Use the dot insert to add pineapple to the front of the list. Print the resulting list to see the change. All right, so we'll do front display list dot insert, and then we have let's see 0, right? And it wants to add pineapple, and we're gonna hit run. And then we need to print it out. I forgot we need to print it out. And there we go, we have pineapple at the very start. Next, we're gonna learn how to remove by index, which is a pop. So just as we learn to insert elements at specific indices, Python gives us a method to remove elements at a specific index using a method called pop. The pop method takes a optional single input and the index for the element that you want to remove. So to see it in action, let's consider a list called CS Topics that stores a collection of topics one might study in a computer science program. So for example, we have Python with data structures, balloon making, algorithms, and clowns 101. All right, now two of these topics don't look like they belong to CS, so let's go ahead and pop. First, let's go ahead and pop the clowns list. So print, so we'll do removed elements, and then we'll do CS topics, and then pop it, right? So notice two things about this example. So the method can be called without a specific index. So using the pop without an index will remove whatever the last element of the list is, which in our case was clown 101. So that's why it got removed. And then the pop method is unique in that it will return the value that was removed if we wanted to know what element was deleted. Simply assign a variable call of the pop method, and in this case we assigned it to remove element. Lastly, let's remove balloon making. So we have 0, 1, 2. So the second element would get popped. So the CS topics.pop 2, and then we would just be left with Python data structures and algorithms. Notice two things about this example as well. So the method can be called with an optional specific index to remove. In our case, the index was 2, which removes the value of balloon making. Now we don't have to save the remove value to any variable if we don't care to use it later. Passing in an index that does not exist, calling pop on an empty list will both result in an index error. So let's apply what we've learned about the .pop method. So let's see here. So we have decided to pursue the study of data science in addition to our computer science coursework. We signed up for an online school that will help us become proficient. Now check out the current list of topics that we'll be studying in our code editor. We have machine learning, SQL, pandas, algorithms, statistics, and Python 3. Now it looks like that we have an overlap with the computer science curriculum for the topic of Python 3. So let's remove it from the topic, from the list of data science topics using our newly learned pop method. So we'll do pop. So we'll do data science topics, and we're just gonna call pop. And we don't have to put the index because it's the last thing on the list, so we can just call the regular pop and just print it out, and we'll get that it removes the Python 3 from the second list. It looks like there's an overlap in the algorithms topic as well, so let's go ahead and add or do the pop to remove it. Alright, so same thing here, but this time notice how algorithms is not the last one in this list, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, then 3. So we just put in a 3 right here, and that gets popped. So we have machine learning, SQL, pandas, and statistics right there. So that's basically the pop method in a nutshell. Now, let's say we have consecutive lists, which is the range. So often we want to create a list of consecutive numbers in our programs. So for example, suppose that we want a list containing the numbers 0 through 9. So we have a list called 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Now by typing all of these numbers takes time, and the more numbers we take, the more likely it'll have a typo that can cause an error. Python gives us an easy way of creating these types of lists using a built-in function called range. So the function range takes a single input and generates the number starting at 0 and ending the number before the output. So if we want the numbers from 0 through 9, we can use the range 10 because 1 is greater than 9. Is 1 greater than 9, right? So that's why we would do, it would output range 0 through 10. Notice something different. The range function is unique because it creates a range objects. It is not a typical list like the ones that we have been working with. In order to use the object as a list, we first have to convert it using the built-in function, which is called list. Now the list function takes a single input for the object that you want to convert. Now use the list function to basically on a range object like this. So we do list and then my range, and then it would output this. So let's go ahead and just try it because I know it's probably confusing for you guys. So modify the number list so that it is a range containing the number from up to, but not including 9. Okay, not including 9. So it's 9. And so this would be the list. And remember, if we don't have this little list function call right here, it's just going to give us the range like this, right? So we need to put the little range or the list function so that it gives us the range. Now create a range called 0 to 7 with the numbers 0 through 7. Okay, so we would just do 0 through 7 or like so. Did you create a 0 to 7? Okay, let's see. 0 to 7. And then we can print it out right after. So yeah, lists are pretty fun to work with. As you can see, that is the range. So it basically gives you the numbers from 0 to 1 before whatever number you put in. So if you want 0 through 7, you would put in the number 8 because it would go through 0 through 7, not do 8, right? Because it gets canceled out right before. Now, the power of range is crazy. So by default, range creates a list starting at 0. However, we can call a range with 2 inputs. We can create a list that starts at a different number. So for example, if we wanted to do range 2 through 9, would generate numbers starting at 2 and ending at 8, just before 9, right? So this would do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like so. So if we use a third input, we can actually create a list that skips numbers. So for example, the range 2, 9, 8 would give us a list where each number is 2 greater than the previous number. So it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, like so. We can skip as many numbers as we want. For example, we'll start at 1 and skip in the increments of 10 between each number until we get to 99. 1 before 100. So we can do 110. So that would print out 1, 11, 21, 31, and so forth. So our list stops at 91 because the next number in the sequence would be 101, which is greater than or equal to the 100, our stopping point. So let's go ahead and experiment with our additional range inputs. So modify the range so that it creates a range 5, 3, such that it starts at 5, has a difference of 3 between each number, and ends before 15. Okay, there you go. And then create a range called range diff 5. Okay, that equals range that starts at 0, has a difference of 5, and ends before 40. So difference of 5. I don't know why I put a dot right there, but there you go. So range is very, very powerful. So the first index is actually what it starts at. Second index is what it should end before. And then the third one is how much it should increment. Next, we have length, one of my favorite functions. So often we need to find the number of items in a list, usually called its length. Now we can do this by using a built-in function called len, len. So when we apply len to a list, we get the number of elements in that list. So we would get how many elements are literally in that list. So if we do my list and then we put len right before it, it would give us the length of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would literally print out 5 because there's 5 things in the list. It just, in simple terms, a len prints out how many things are in a list. That's it. Let's find the length of various lists. So let's calculate the length of the long list and save it to the variable called long list length. Okay, and then we'll do len, and then we'll do long list. Now use the print to examine the long list len. So do print and then long list len. We have 18 things. Let's confirm it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There you go. Perfect. Now we have provided a completed range function for the variable big range. Now calculate its length using the function len and save it to the variable called big range len. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying len. Okay, len, and then we have like this, big range. Big range. And then use the function to print it out. And we have 300, which kind of makes sense. If you start at 2, I wouldn't want to count that on hand. Okay, change the range function so that it generates a big range so that it skips 100 instead of 10. Okay, so now it should print out 30, right? Yeah, it should print out 30 elements. So that was a len. It just literally prints out how many things are in a list. That's it. Next, we have slicing lists. Now, this is one of the more intriguing functions inside of Python. It's really useful when you're doing coding interview, so make sure to pay attention on this one. So in Python, we often want to extract only a portion of a list. Dividing a list in such a manner is referred to as slicing. Let's assume we have a list of letters. So letters which A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Suppose that we want to select from B through F. So B through F like so. Now we can use the following syntax: letters at start and end, where start is the index of the first element that we want to include in our selection. In this case, we want to start it at B, which has index 1, of course, and the end, which is the index of 1 more than the last element that we want to include. So the last index is F, right? So we want to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at index 5. But we're going to put 6 because remember, the same thing that we did before here. You want to use the one right after because we want it to include F. If we want it to include F and it's the fifth element, we need to make it a 6. So it prints out 2 through 5 because it's going to stop right before the 6th. Now we can do 1 through 6. So we're going to do slice list equals letters 1 through 6, and then we'll get B through F like so. So let's actually try it out and see what's happening. So use print to examine the variable beginning. So before hitting run, think about what elements beginning will contain. So beginning will have 0, 1, 2, 3. It'll have shirt, pants, pants. Oh, we need to print it out, sorry. Yeah, I completely just ignored the first sentence. But we need to print that, yeah, shirt, pants, pants. Because we have 0 through 4, right? So starts at 0, and it ends right before the 4th index right here. So modify beginning so that it selects the first 2 elements of suitcase. So it starts at 0 and then 1, so we would have to do 2, like so. Create a new list called middle that selects the middle 2 elements, which is pants, pants. Equals suitcase. And then we start at 0, 1, 2. I'm going to go until 3, 4. And that will give us pants, pants. But we never printed it, so we'll do middle. And we have pants, pants like so. And then we have a second part of slicing lists as well. So slicing syntax in Python is very flexible. Let's look at a few more problems that we can tackle with slicing. Take the fruits as our example. You have apple, cherry, pineapple, orange, and mango. If we want to select the first n elements of a list, we would use the following code, colon and then n, right? N being like a number that you want to go up to. So for our fruits list, suppose we want to slice the first 3 elements. The following code will start from index 0 and up to the index 3. Note that the fruit index at index 3 is not included in the results because it cuts off right before. So we can do something similar if we want the last n by simply doing negative n and then a colon like so. Now in our fruits list, suppose we want to slice the last 2 elements. So we can do this by doing the index -2 up to the last index. So really cool. This part is a little tricky. So just keep out a look for the negative n and then a colon. Would output the orange and the mango. So negative indices can also accomplish by taking all but and last elements of a list. Now, what does this mean? So for our fruits example, suppose that we wanted to slice all but the last element, we can simply do, this example starts from counting from the 0 index up to the last index. So we select everything but the last one. So if you have the colon up top, it basically means, okay, go up until the last one. Would output everything except the last one, which is mango, right? So it doesn't have mango here. So let's actually practice it. It's a lot to take in. I know if you want to rewatch that part, go ahead, because I know it's a lot. But let's still look at it. So let's create a new list called last two elements. So we'll do last two elements containing the final two elements of suitcase. So suitcase. And then remember the trick, we have -2 colon, and then print out the last two elements. So print, and voila, we get pajamas and books. Now create a new list called slice off last three. And then containing all but the last three elements. So we can do equals suitcase, which is the name of our list. And then we would put the colon first and then the last three. So it'd be -3. And of course we have to print it, otherwise how are you gonna know that it worked, right? So we go ahead and print it like so, and we get shirt, pants. Fantastic. So yeah, that was slicing lists. And let's go ahead and learn how to count in a list. So in Python, it is common that we want to count occurrences of an item in a list. So suppose that we have a list called letters that represent the letters in the word Mississippi, Mississippi. Hey, I have them memorized. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how. Now, if we want to know how many times I appears in this word, we can use the list method called the dot network. Or sorry, what am I saying? The dot count. It's been a long day. So if we want to know how many times I appears in this word, we can just do the dot count. So num I dot equals the letters dot count and then I, and then print num I would give us 4 because there's 4 i's. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 i's. Now notice that the count returns a variable. We can assign it to a variable to use it. Now we can use count to count element appearances in a 2D list. So let's use the list number collection as an example. So we have a number collection here, which is 100, 200, 100, 200, 475, 29, 34, 34. If you want to know how often the sublist appears, we can simply just do num pairs equals num collection dot count, and you can actually put the sublist in here and just it'll show up like so. So let's count some list items using the dot count method. Miss Wilson's class is voting for class president. She has saved each student's vote into the list called votes. Use the dot count to determine how many students voted for Jake and save the element or save the variable called Jake's votes. So we're going to look at how many people have voted for Jake. Votes dot count and then Jake. And then we can also print out Jake's votes. And then use the print. Yeah, so I think he won. If we wanted to look at everyone else's, we can also put in their names, but Looks like Jake did win, so we don't need to bother with that. All right, now sorting lists. This is huge, and I mean very huge for data structures and algorithms as well, especially LeetCode. LeetCode, you have to do a lot of sorting, so make sure to learn that. Now, often we want to sort a list in either numerical or alphabetical order. We can sort a list using the method called sort. Suppose that we have a list of names. We have Xander, Buffy, Angel, Willow, Gills. Let's see what happens when we apply the sort method. So names.sort will actually organize it in alphabetical order. The dot sort also provides us an option to go to reverse. So instead of sorting it in ascending order like the one we saw, we can do it in descending order if we do reverse equals true inside of the sort method. Now that would output Xander, Willow, Gills, Buffy, and Angel in reverse order. Now the sort method does not return any value and thus does not need to be assigned to a variable since it modifies the list directly. If we do assign the result of the method, it would assign the value of none to the variable. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. So use the dot sort to sort all addresses. Okay, addresses dot sort. Yeah, you might need to spell addresses correctly. Okay, print to see how the address has changed. All right, print addresses. Okay, cool. We have 10, 12, 1600. Okay, so basically what it does, it's like 10, 12, and then 16, 22, 42, 74. It does it like that basically. All right, remove the hashtag and the white space in front of the sort names. Okay, sort names. Edit this line so that returns without producing a name error. Well, because we have to do names.sort like so. And then use the print to examine the sorted cities. To examine the sorted pretties. Sorted cities, so we'll do print. It's gonna print out none probably. Yeah, it's gonna print out none because again we can't apply it to a variable. We can't save it to a variable because it doesn't return anything, right? So edit the dot sort call on cities such that it sorts the list in reverse order, which is descending. Print cities to see the result. Okay, so edit the dot sort call on cities. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of this line. We're gonna do reverse equals true. And then we'll just print out cities like so. There you go. And it should print out Rome, Paris, New York, Los Angeles, and London like so. So that was sorting lists. Now we have more ways to sort lists. A second way of sorting a list in Python is using the built-in function called sorted. The sorted function is different from just the sort in two ways. First, it comes before a list instead of after, as all built-in functions do. Second, it generates a new list rather than modifying the one that currently exists. So let's return to our example with the list of names. We have Xander, Buffy, Angel, Willow, Gills. So using sorted, we can create a new list called sorted names. So sorted names equals sorted names, print sorted names that yields the list sorted alphabetically. So we can do sorted names equals sorted, and then it gives us Angel, Buffy, Gills, Willow, Xander. Note that using these sorted did not change names. Names would still output Xander, Buffy, like in random order. So the main difference literally is it generates a new list instead of modifying the original list, which sometimes it may be beneficial. And other times you may need a copy of the original, so you don't want to change it. And then of course it comes before, like so, like we have to do it like that. Now use the sorted order games, to order games and create a new list called game sorted. So we have game sorted equals sorted, and then we have games, like so. Now print both games and games sorted. How are they different? So print games, print games sorted. Now the first one shows us Portal, Minecraft, Pac-Man, Tetris, The Sims, and Pokemon. Second one is in alphabetical order, so Minecraft, Pac-Man, Pokemon, Portal, Tetris, The Sims. So sorted creates a new list. It does not modify the original one, right? And in the next video, we're going to be doing a review of everything. So if you want like a fresh review of me going through an entire project, check out the next video. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. By the way, if you're looking for internships or if you need help finding one or you need help with your resume, check out the top link in the description. It's my newsletter where I send out weekly internship opportunities as well as give you tips on how to land an internship or a job completely for free every single week. And then also I have the coding directory in there as well, which is my huge guide on how I got my internships and how you can too, completely for free as well. No catch. And yeah, hopefully you'll like it. I believe once after you sign up, it does take a minute or two to appear in your inbox, so don't freak out. But thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you and have a fantastic day or night wherever you may be.